Hey everyone, Richard Metal Fan here, bringing you guys a brand new 2018 album review. And today we're going to be looking into the new album from the band Bleeding Through, entitled Love Will Kill All, which came out today through Sharp Tone Records. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Bleeding Through, they're a metal band from Orange County, California. They formed in 1999. And the way to describe these guys, I mean, a lot of people would essentially put them as like metalcore, which I mean, they kind of have the metalcore stuff, especially from around the time when they came out with bands like Them, As I Lay Dying, Killswitch Engage, Chimera, Shadows Fall, bands from that kind of era and scene. But like what makes them stand out from like all those bands is like they also combine sort of like different elements of metal, like different styles like hardcore punk, even some like symphonic black metal, mainly with like how the guitars and like sort of like the keyboards create sort of like the musically reminds you of it, and sort of like melodic death metal, especially kind of like with the instrumentation and stuff. And these guys put out their first album in 2001, which is, I believe, Dust to Ashes, which I thought was good, but I feel like after that they just gotten better and better with like albums such as like The Truth and Declaration. And this album is the long way to follow up to The Great Fire, which came out in 2012. But it wasn't around 2014 when Bleeding Through had broken up. But then it wasn't for the one. Then let's go to about a couple months ago when I believe Sharp Tone Records posted a teaser trailer, and sort of like some listeners recognized one of their voices on the pages, and I was like, I immediately knew who it was, but it wasn't until like in March where the band announced that they were back together and they released a new album called Love Will Kill All. And I was like, wow, I was not expecting that. I thought they were going to be done. And I've just recently heard the album. And does this album live up to The Great Fire, which came out in 2012? So it means 6 years has passed since the band has released any material. In my honest opinion, I think it definitely has. Like everything is pretty much what I would like. I mean, I wasn't expecting that to like this a lot than I did, but I think it's a pretty good album. Like the production is pretty solid, like everything is where it needs to be. And let's just talk about the vocal work in general from Brendan Shiphetty. I probably butchers his name. If I fucked it up, correct me. Like his growls and just like screams on this album is just superb. He's just gotten so much better and stuff. And like his clean vocals are really shine on this album. Like you can definitely feel like the way he conveys, and just everything is perfect. Guitar wise, the guitars are pretty solid and crunchy, like just the leads and just are fucking insane. And the keyboard playing from Marta Peterson, like her keys kind of like give sort of like the very atmospheric kind of vibe to it, which is really great. Just the drumming from Derek Youngsma is insane. Just like just blast beats and all this other great shit. The bass I kind of wish was a little bit more audible, but it's whatever, I guess. But without further ado, let's dive into this album track by track. Now the album opens up with Darkness, A Feeling I Know, which kind of has a little bit of a depressive vibe to it, with sort of like a spoken word intro. But it was like after that it kind of like the tempo picks up and it just hits you right in the face with the next song, which is Fade into Ashes, which is some really great drum play and just like a little chase of like Brendan throughout the track on the mic. It just wow, just like it starts off small, then the second track it just boom right then and there. I think is a fucking great song. Just some really great hooks, and I love that like the theatrical kind of like keyboard sequences make it really stand out. Oh, End Us, another good song. I really enjoyed that one. Then we go into Cold War, which I feel like the kind of like the mood without the song is kind of like harmless. It's kind of like a mixture of like solid pissed off and energetic clanking to it, without giving me time to like breathe. The track rages on. It just feels like it just is relentless. Another great song. Excuse me. Then we go into Dead Eyes, which kind of holds a little bit of a groovy yet very kind of oddly danceable chorus, in addition to like the cello like organ interplay. The mixture of sounds that very much go well throughout live and be interesting in like mosh pits and stuff. Buried showcases some really excellent guitar work and a great use of the keyboards, which creates sort of like an ambience to it, which has sort of like the energy and of the music and overall flow to it. No friends. Feel like the message with this song is sort of like take care of the planets of the planet and make them with sort of like the lines lyrically saying like go ahead, keep telling your shit, not spontaneously to your friends, but your friends relatively quickly. This like the structure is just pretty great with sort of like the well placed background shouts. Set Me Free has sort of like a heavy hardcore style chug appeal to it during the chorus, which is pretty awesome. The guitar work on this song is seriously heavy, and combine the keys makes this sound really wicked. No One From Nowhere, where musically this kind of sounds very thrashy with some really punishing drums to it, and this song hits hard. Remains, musically, when it opens up, it kind of reminds me of something from Chimera that turns it to like a simple slow chug. The chorus, I feel like, is kind of life. I'm not really a fan of the chorus in there, but I feel like they correct this with the next song, Slave, which is just a fast and heavy song, and I really love the drumming on this. And then the album closes with Life, which is a perfect blend of everything that Bleeding Through can execute very well. Fast metal musicianship, slower emotionally driven moments, the screaming as well as like the clean singing, a layer of like the keyboard ambience that meshes well with the music. And the song was an actually good way to end this album. Now, overall, Love Will Kill All by Bleeding Through is a pretty good comeback album after being away for a few years. If I had to give this album a score, I'd probably give this probably an 8 or an 8.5 out of 10. But yeah, that's my review of the new Bleeding Through album, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of it, and I'll see you all in the next video, and keep it metal.